So, in this podcast, my husband and I are going to share our 10 reasons why we are not voting for Kamala Harris. And so I'll go first. My first reason is it's really not a Kamala problem, it's a Democrat problem. I have been voting Democrat for over 30 years. I've always voted for Democrats. And it wasn't until several years ago that I really started looking at what are we getting out of it. And I realized that Democrats will specifically target Black people, specifically come to us, the group that is loyal to them. They'll get our vote and then they will turn around and do things for specific groups. We saw this with the Asian groups, with the anti-Asian hate crime bill. Roland Martin wants to be sassy and say there's no such bill. Well, it was called the COVID bill. Well, if you read within the COVID bill, they specifically say Asians, okay? So that's their hate crime bill, their anti-hate crime bill. They've given specifics to DACA, they've given specifics to the LGBTQ community, but they don't do anything specific for us. And that's my first reason why I'm done with the Democratic Party.
Yeah, that's good. I would say one of my first reasons has to do with the Emmitt Till Anti-Lynching Act that was passed within the last year or two. They classified lynching as a hate crime. And when I look at lynching, I specifically only think about Black folks being lynched throughout my lifetime and throughout my forefathers' lifetime. And so for them to now pass an anti-lynching act is almost a slap in the face of Black Americans. And as you previously stated, with Asians, with the COVID act or bill that was passed for their anti-Asian hate act, I don't understand why they could have passed a Black hate act. Because basically, you gave us something that is defunct.
It's antiquated.
It's antiquated and basically is outdated.
Yeah, just call it a hate
crime. A hate crime.
Yeah, why does it have to be specifically
why it has to be lynching?
Yeah.
But they do that, the Democrats do that on purpose, because if there is an ever instinct of another lynching, then they can say, we see what we did, we put this on the books.
Exactly. The new lynching is shooting.
Facts. So that's my first one. And again, it's specific towards Harris and Biden, but it's Democrats in general.
All right. So my second one is the gaslighting by the Democratic Party that I'm fed up with. They keep telling us that everything is all good right now.
They do.
It's all good. Everything is fine. It's not fine. When I go to the grocery store and I check out 10 items and my bill is $90, something's wrong. Everything is not okay. Also, they're trying to pretend like they're not giving all of these illegal immigrants benefits.
Oh, they're fine, yeah.
When we have proof of them having EBT cards, and with our business, since we're in the medical field, we have
We've seen it.
We have a child that we've been treating for over a year now, and he's not a citizen.
Right.
And he gets approved with no problem. We've never had problem getting services for him. So we know they get health insurance, they're getting housing, and they're getting food.
Yeah. Yes, I say my second one has to do with how the Democrats, specifically Harris and Biden most recently, talk about how they're giving Black business owners access to capital. And specifically, they talk about how they've tripled the number of SBA-backed loans to Black-owned businesses. And so what I have to say about that is that they shouldn't be loans at all. Because what you're doing is basically putting us back into debt with loans that should never be loans. They should be grants. Those, if you really want to provide or be of assistance and actually do what you said you were going to do for the Black community, they need to be grants. There's no loans that need to be had based off what we've done for this country over the years. Those should have been grants. And so once again, it's ineffective because it basically provides more debt for those businesses moving forward.
Good point. My third point is Harris is pro-Israel. Now, I believe that Trump is also pro-Israel, but I believe he's more apt to tell Israel they need to get their ish together.
Yeah.
And I believe this because when he was president, he had a problem with the other members of NATO. Now, I know Israel is not even a NATO member. So he's getting ready to kind of cut other NATO members loose because America foots most of the bill.
Right.
68%, what I read. And they said that some of his senior officials that were a part of his cabinet and that will likely be a part of his second term, that they said that he still feels the same way, that each NATO member would have to meet that 2% of their revenues in order to participate in NATO. And so that's why I believe that Trump is America first,
right,
and that I don't believe he's going to sell us out for this war that's taking place, this genocide
right,
that's taking place in the Middle East.
Right.
So I'm not pro-Israel, and Harris is pro-Israel. So that's another reason why she's not getting my vote.
I think the third reason I'm not voting for them, and I'm not voting for the Democratic Party, is this amount of money that they have been giving to historically Black colleges. And I say that twofold in that this education, this monies that they are being given, and I think they tout in their most recently $16 billion to historically Black colleges and universities. And so what I will say to that is that $16 billion has not been for free education at all. And so I did a quick breakdown of what they could have done, but they don't do that. 8.3, there were 289,000 students enrolled in historically Black college in 2022. And of that, of 99 Black colleges that were there. So in just my quick numbers, you could have paid for 289,000 students free education for 4 years for $8.3 billion. That could be done. Free education. Mm-hmm. But they don't do that. This is simple stuff, folks. And then the rest of that 16 billion, the 7.6 billion dollars could have been spread out to $76 million per school. That's not being done. So that money is basically being wasted when it should be just given free education for generations, if you would think about it. That's what that $16 billion could do. So
my fourth reason why I am not voting for Harris. Here's a Trojan horse. The Black Maternal Health Care Act. That's a Trojan horse. I learned from Dr. Claude Anderson, his book Powernomics, that came out close to 30 years ago. He told us about these ambiguous terms like minority, underprivileged communities. And so with this Black Maternal Health Care Act, this is another act that you hear people like Roland Martin and other supporters of Harris will say, well, see, you all are getting something specific. You said you weren't getting anything specific. This is specific. It's not. I have a problem with this because the name is misleading.
Right.
If you go on to congress.gov, if you go onto different sites and you read about this act, the very first sentence say that it's for minorities and women who are incarcerated.
Right.
So take Black off of it.
Right.
Remove it.
Right.
And I'm serious.
Right.
Because that is so misleading and it's so disingenuous.
Yeah.
This is not a Black Maternal Health Care Act.
No.
It's not.
Yeah.
And I know their reasoning. They're going to say, well, we're the ones that's 3 times likely, to die. We have the highest mortality rate, the highest morbidity rate.
Is that?
We have fibroids, whatever. Listen, still, don't call it the Black Maternal Health Care Act.
Yeah.
Because another reason why the minority is a problem is because everybody would get the benefits from it and the Black women would be at the bottom.
Correct.
Because that's how this
works.
Country has always functioned.
That's how.
So that's why I say remove the Black from it.
That's straight.
Remove
facts.
it.
That's straight facts.
We will be the last one to benefit from it, and that's how it has gone for every bill, every act, every law that was intended to specifically help Black people, but they don't specifically use our identification, and they use these ambiguous terms like underserved, underprivileged, minority. Well, then that means everybody gets to benefit from that, other minorities. And then we're at the bottom and we're left with crumbs when it was supposed to be created for us. So no, that's a nothing bill.
Yeah.
That's some BS.
Yeah.
And I'm offended by it. Yeah. Remove Black from it and just call it it's called the Momnibus Act. Call it the Maternal Health Care Act. Remove the Black from it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think my fourth one, is one personal because my father served in the military, and this goes for, and this is probably why I'm voting the couch for both parties, and this is one of the things that really bothers me is that on average wait time for a veteran's claim is 120 to 150 days. 150 days. My dad needed a hearing aid and is a veteran. He needed one hearing aid, and it took almost a year for the VA to approve one hearing aid.
Wow.
I mean, come on. Like, let's really look at that about a veteran, someone who's been service. And now, mind you, imagine if your family member has served and has had more critical injuries, and you had to wait 150 freaking days to get approved for your family member to be seen by a doctor or be treated for something that they did while serving this country.
Mm.
It's just incomprehensible about how much money we spend sending billions of dollars to Ukraine, billions of dollars to Israel, billions of dollars on illegal immigrants coming to the station, and we can't even take care of our own.
I know.
We can't take care of our own. So
Yeah.
vote that helps me vote the couch even more.
Well, my fifth reason that I'm not voting for Harris, and this is the reason why I feel like maybe the past couple weeks I've decided to vote for Trump. I've decided to vote for him, and that's because I have a problem with immigration.
Ooh.
I have a problem with immigration, and Harris doesn't have a problem with immigration. She doesn't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
That's why the borders are wide open. The wallet is wide open, and they are helping them to advance. And she talks about that proudly because she comes from a family of immigrants. She's a first generation immigrant. Okay.
Right.
You know, and if you go onto her website, she says that she wants to give $25,000 to first time homeowners and be even more generous. That's her wording on her website, generous, and be more generous for first time or for first generation
Right.
candidates, first generation immigrants. So how does immigration help foundational Black Americans? How? It doesn't help us.
No.
It doesn't help us at all. I also have a problem with immigrants that come to this country and they're so disrespectful to foundational Black Americans. Just about every immigrant, every group. I can't say every individual immigrant because I personally know of immigrants. We have immigrants that work for us. So I look at each person individually. You know, I have evolved from that, so I can't, paint the white race with a broad brush because I know that all of them aren't bad. It's bad actors in every group of people, but I know as a whole, immigrants, racism, white supremacy is a global issue.
Yeah.
And everybody has a problem with the Negro. Everybody has a problem with the Negro. You even saw that overseas when COVID hit. They were telling Black people to get out of their country, and it's like, well, wow, like what was that? Yeah. But they're very hostile towards us.
They are.
And when they come to America and they know the history of America, they're team white supremacy. They're not coming over here to try to be our friends. And so that's what's annoying with Black educated people, all of these Black educated people who are a part of the Democratic Party. It's like, you don't know about Ham's Redemption. Like, just look up Ham's Redemption. Yeah, Latino people that's coming from South America, they know exactly what that is. They practice that. It's not skin bleaching with the cream. It's, I'm going to marry someone whiter, lighter, so I can get that African out of me. Okay, they practice that. So they're not coming over here to be our friends. They're not. They have a disdain towards us. And I just want immigration, it needs to be put on hold until we can work our own problems out. Black, white, we need to work our own problems out. All these other groups coming in just seems to add to the problem. They come here to undermine us. And I just don't see how they help us.
Yeah. Yeah, I think my last one, it's reason why I'm not voting for Harris, but I'm also not voting for Trump or Democrats or Republicans. And I'll just say this: I'm a 51-year-old Black man who's voted for Democrats for 30 plus years. The harassment, the lack of respect, the lack of protection from America and the Democratic Party hasn't changed since 1991. It's actually worse as a small percentage of Black entertainers and athletes whose wealth and individual accomplishments has really emboldened aggressive behavior towards Black men specifically. The Democratic Party continues to ask for my vote every 2 years, every 4 years. And for an exchange of my vote, I get 3/5 of the rights of white Americans and now legal and illegal immigrants. So I'm encouraging Black men to ask Democrats, what have they done for you? I mean, really, what have they done for you? If you're 50 years old in the last 30 years, so from 1991, 92 election, what have they done for you? And don't say education.
Don't say the Emmitt Till bill.
Don't say the Emmitt Till.
Don't say the Black maternal health care.
Yeah, don't say any of that.
Don't say that.
Think about that, brothers and sisters. So that's all I got.
All right, so you voting the couch and I'm voting Trump. I can't believe I'm saying that.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, but he aligns with what I want. He's going to close those damn borders. That's what he's going to do. I don't need any more troublemakers over here. You're going to come over here and be disrespectful. I don't need that.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
And he's going to take care of America first. He's going to tell the other and I really want him to tell Israel, fix your own problems.
Yeah, they wasted
fix your own problems.
That's a welfare state right there.
It sure is.
That's a welfare state.
Yeah.
Okay.
Adios.